Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of Perth and Kinross Licensing Committee. I'm Bailey Mike Williamson, convener of the committee. I'm joined by my vice convener, Councillor Ian McPherson. I'm also joined by other members of the committee. On my left is Moyna McLaren, the Deputy Clerk and Solicitor to the committee, and on my right is Magda Pasternak, the Clerk of the committee. Also joining us are Scott Gibson, Shona Miki, she's attending now, David Rankin from the licensing team. Could I please ask the clerk to confirm any apologies received to today's meeting and confirm attendance of those in the chamber and online?
Thank you, convener. We have an apology from Bailey Brock and Councillor Freshwater. I believe we have 3 members joining us online. So could you please confirm that you're present? Councillor Frampton?
Present.
Councillor Mayer?
I'm here, thank you.
And Councillor Watt?
Present, yeah.
All other members are present in the chambers.
Thank you very much. Could I please ask if there are any declarations of interest in respect of the business on the agenda? In the chat and nothing online, so I'll take it there are no declarations. Could I please ask if the minutes of the meeting of the Licence Committee held on the 3rd of November 2025 can be agreed? Thank you. Members, we now move on to grant of a short-term let licence, which is a new operation at Glenburn Main Street, Kirkmichael, Blairgowrie. Members, this report is page 11 onwards in your document pack. For this item of business, we are joined by the applicants. Yeah. Thank you. We're joined by the applicant. Could you please confirm your name, please?
Christy here.
Sorry, we're also joined in the chambers by the objectors to the application. Could you please confirm your name, please?
Christopher Mullen.
Suzanne Russell.
Thank you very much. Further written objections were received from Mr. Adam Brown and Mrs. Caroline Findlay, who are not present today. I will now hand over to Moyna McLaren, who will introduce a report and advise on the procedures for the hearing.
Happen is, the objectors will speak firstly to the, why you're objecting, and then the committee will ask a few questions, about what you've said, what your objections are about, and then as the applicant you'll get an opportunity to respond, and the committee will also ask questions, and then you get a chance as objectors to summarise your position, and you'll get an opportunity as the applicant to make a final submission to summarise your position.
Thank you very much. Could I please therefore invite Mr. Mullen to provide details of his objection?
Well, my objection is primarily one of over provision in the area, as per my written bit. There are, looking at purely at Kirkmichael's, not anything beyond a few hundred metres outside of the actual group of houses. We are 38, 39, I think, short-term lets currently out of 160 houses. So we're approaching 1/4 of the houses are short-term lets, not with people bringing up families, having businesses, etc. in the area. If we add to that also the empty homes, and that it's not as simple as looking at the short-term list register and counting the houses which are empty for a range of reasons. But anecdotally looking around the village, there are another, 25 that I know of. There are probably more because I don't really know the top of the village that well. So we're approaching a third, a quarter of the village is now empty of residents. That's having my second objection, second order effects. One obvious symptom, I've been working in the school for the last couple of years. We've gone from 2 schools in the local area. 15 years ago, we lost the school at Straloch. which I know has also been turned into a short-term let. And now the current school, Kirkmichael, where I've been working, has gone from 3 classes down to 2. So that's a symptom of the fact that people aren't living in the village. We're not raising children in the village. We're not building businesses like I do in the village. And that has knock-on effects to community. So that's the overview of my response.
Thank you. Do members have any questions for Mr. Mullen? I have one question. You just mentioned, Mr. Mullen, about the schools closing. Did you mention Straloch School? Hasn't that been closed for a good number of years now, maybe about 10 years or so?
Some 15 years ago, I believe it was closed. But that's endemic of, or symptomatic, sorry, of the growing number of short-term lets in the area. And it's not a recent thing. It's not one single short-term let. It's about over-provision. It's about the general community effect.
Thank you, Councillor Willie, please.
Thanks very much indeed, convener. You mentioned over provision. Can I actually ask through you, convener, does the Act allow us to refuse an application through over provision?
So my understanding is that the current council policy is that we do not have a policy around about the implementation of a control zone. And this committee is really only here to look at what's on the licence and to make sure the person is a fit and proper person and not what's anything else. It's just what's the provisions are on the licence. Maybe Mona might have something different to say.
This is not a planning control zone area. Had it been a planning control zone area, and that's something that the council could do, could not bring in, then these issues would be relevant. But as it is now, it's not. It's more about public safety, public order, and fit and proper person that is applying for the licence. So it's quite limited in its scope, the legislation.
Okay. Councillor Robertson, followed by Councillor Brown.
Can I just say that answer is helpful, and it might help to explain to people who are concerned about the number of short-term lets that there's a limit to what we can do under the present circumstances. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Thanks, convener. That one of my 2 questions just been asked by Councillor Robertson was that, and we do know obviously the pressure for rural housing, but from a short-term let point of view, purely from that point of view, is there not a benefit for the community through the shop? People coming in using the shop, and also, of course, there's the hotels there, which obviously for meals out in the evening, you don't need to drive. I mean, is that an issue we should be looking at as well?
So I looked at, I've referred in my email, there are 2 pieces of research I looked at. One is a government, a Scottish government, one is a Welsh government. Part of the problem with the contextual question is that all of the research I've seen so far, there's also University of York one that I didn't refer to, but is also I've looked at, is they all seem to look at the national level. So they're making discussions about the benefits and the costs to communities at a national level. And at the moment, the national level is something in the region of 0.9% short-term letting of the housing stock in Scotland. And at just under 1%, there are some benefits and there's some costs. We're nowhere near that. And in the microcosm, we're now at, as I say, something approaching a quarter of the short-term letting and nearly a half of the community as a whole. So there are massive deprivations as a result, which are not, I believe, mitigated by the fact that some people will turn up and use the local hotel, others won't. Some people will use the local shop, others won't. They'll bring their shopping from Blair, they'll bring their shopping from Perth, and we know this anecdotally because of involvement in the village shop. Yeah, there's some benefits, and I do not deny that. There are massive costs. As I say, at the end of the last academic year, we've lost a teacher, so there's a wage lost to the community. And that person lived in Blair, and we're shopping in Blair in the local area. So yes, there are some benefits. I believe the costs outweigh that, and literally down to the community spirit. And I know people who've lived in the village for a lot longer than I have, and I've been here for well over a decade. I can see that even in my short time, my 15 years in the area, I've seen an effect as well.
Could I just remind you that we really are just here. I have sympathy for what you say, Mr. Mullen, but we are here just to look at what's on the licence and the conditions on that licence. As Moira has outlined, some of what you're saying is down to planning and other areas of the council, but not down to this committee, I'm afraid. Okay, but your points are well made. Okay, are there any other questions for Mr. Mullen? If there are no further questions for Mr. Mullen, could I please invite Mr. Gribbin to provide details of his objection?
Thank you. I've got a number of concerns regarding the general provision of short-term lets in my village. Unfortunately, you're not going to consider them today, so I kind of feel I'm kind of wasted my time and invited here, because those were the objections I had put in my application. My objection to this is the continued growth of STLs in Kirkmichael is having a negative effect on the community. As we've shown in the community that there's a shortage of affordable housing. This is taking a house away. There was an academic piece of work done on affordable housing, and it showed a very clear demand from local people for housing. The reduction in housing impacts families. It's causing the breakup of families in small communities like Kirkmichael, which don't come back because the children move away to wherever and they don't come back. But these are points that you don't want to address at this. So I'm not going to continue on that. I will, but if it's all right, I would like to add another piece, concern, which I didn't put in my email, and it's about parking. Road safety is a constant problem in Kirkmichael. Bob, you're aware of that. Every community meeting, there are issues with speeding, with illegal parking. Where is this STL going to park their car? There is no space in the main street. Where are they going to park? They're going to double park in the middle of the village? Are they going to cause another local to have to park over in the village car park, which is a good 200 metres away? Are they going to be able to use an electric car? Is there a charge there? There's a drop. As Susan says, there's a drop curb right in front of that property. That's where people are meant to be crossing the road. All we're doing by accepting another short-term let in is exacerbating an existing problem, a serious problem. It's only a matter of time before someone is killed on that road, because as you come in round past the Kirkmichael Hotel, it's a blind bend. People park on that bend. Lots of people that are using the short-term lets park on double yellow lines in front of that hotel, causing a bottleneck. Are we going to get this new STL there? That's another 1-2 cars that are going to be blocking up the main street. So I apologise. I didn't raise that in my original email because I thought that Perth and Kinross Council would actually be taking interest in our community. Thank you.
So my understanding, Mr. Gribbin, is it that with the applicant, if they haven't already done so, may have to come forward to ask for a change of use. So the questions you've raised there would need to go to planning, I'm afraid, and shouldn't really be for this committee, I'm afraid.
Well, I was advised by the councillor that you don't need to apply for planning permission for a house. You only have to apply for a flat. That's not a flat, it's a house, therefore planning hasn't been applied for change of use. And it has been converted into a business. And I'm sure that they will be applying for business rates at a reduced amount. Sorry.
I'm just trying to be helpful here, but I think what's the Achilles heel of all of this is the council does not have a a control zone put in place. And until that policy is introduced, that's where we are, I'm afraid. We have to take these on basically what's in front of us. Once it does get in a control zone, then these things will be coming through to planning. I understand if it does get accepted by council, but that is the Achilles heel that we're facing at the moment.
But surely a safety concern regarding road transport is an issue that you should take into consideration.
Yes, Councillor Allen, followed by Councillor Braun.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmin. First thing is, say your piece. Don't tell us what we don't want to hear. We want to hear what you're thinking. Second thing is, you're mentioning there about car parking and affordable housing in the area. Just supposing there was a couple with a 19-year-old son moved into that house and there was 2 cars. Where would they park?
They could park in the village car park. But a family with a teenage son is going to be more value to the community in terms of taking part in community activities, providing employment. There's 2 businesses who are advertising at the moment for staff. I know of another business who's considered leaving the area because they can't find accommodation. So there are positives as well to that.
Councillor Braun.
Thanks, Camilla. It's actually a question for officers, I think, on this one, if I may. As a local councillor, I concur with everything Mr. Gribben said. We know these are problems there. And I think, if I may just correct him, it's not that we don't want to take these into account, it's that we can't take these into account because of the legislation at the moment. However, we are talking about control areas. So my question is, do we know what the situation is with the control area at the moment? Are we anywhere close to it, or what is the actual position at the moment? Because this will be one of the areas that we're talking about.
So my understanding is, councillor, that there's a consultation ongoing just now with the council. I'm pretty sure that closes on the 22nd of December. And then a decision will be made on a control zone, and that's for North Eastern Perthshire and Highland Perthshire.
Thank you. Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, convener. Sorry for the delay there. Yeah, my question was on to Mr. Gribben and about the previous occupants of the cottage. Where did they park, Mr. Gribben, if you don't mind me asking?
That property's been empty for quite a long time, so I don't remember where they parked or whether they had a car or not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions for Mr. Gribben? If there are no further questions for Mr. Gribben, could I please invite Ms. Russell to provide details of her objection?
Got concern with it being the neighbouring property. There's 6 houses, all on a shared septic tank, shared drainage system. The only problem we've had, as you can see in my email, was when it was a short-term let previously. People don't care what they put down the drains in a short-term let. I think most of us will use septic tank friendly chemicals, simple things like that. People who are only there for a week, they won't care as much what happens with the property. You'll have seen from the pictures submitted the distance between the outdoor seating area and my bedroom window. Also, I think the lower seating area will get used more often because the steps up to the upper decking area I would deem as unsafe. Yeah, just general concerns about having somebody in the neighbouring property when it's mid-terrace between 2 residential settings. With reference to short-term lets using the shop, the 3 long-term lets in the street
they have people in all the time who use the shop on a regular basis. 2 of them also work in the area. The hotels can't get staff, the shop struggles to get staff, and a lot of the short-term lets are having to bring people in from out with the area to clean them, which again seems silly. When if there was more long-term people in the area, the businesses wouldn't have the same problems. I think that's, and then everything else is in the email.
Do members have any questions for Ms Russell? Councillor Allen?
Thanks, Suzanne, for your presentation. Just a question which I should maybe have asked the other 2 people as well, but I haven't, but I'll just address it to you. Have we engaged with the owner and asked about these things?
The owner did come to the door once to myself, but I don't think any of the other neighbours have been contacted. Mr. Brown, who can't attend today, he's in a boat somewhere. I know that the septic tank issue, drainage issue also, so I don't think any of the other people have been approached.
The reason I was asking the question really is about, I mean, your one concern there about the septic tank and people not caring what they put in there, and we all use septic tank friendly chemicals. Surely that's part and parcel of what you would expect from this operation, and it's certainly something we can condition, but I just wondered why.
Well, see, the previous house that was in this row of houses that was used as a short-term let, that caused blockages with the drains because they were putting down various things they shouldn't have been putting down. And then we all have to pay for it, which I think is unfair. Glenburn is the first house on the system. So obviously, even if there's a blockage, it'll always be myself that'll be impacted. The ones further down might not need to put money towards it because the blockage might be before them. But I'm always going to be affected if there is a blockage.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. That was a lot of sympathy with what you have, a neighbour in a similar situation. With regards, I can't quite figure out exactly where your property and the property being let is in Kirkmichael, but you said it's in a row of 4 houses together and impacts both with reference to the sewage, but also everything else. You mentioned earlier that there was short-term lets in this area. Could you go into more detail what the problems you had with them and the disturbance it caused yourself? Thanks.
I see, it was one, just specifically to this one, it was one short-term let, the house Mr. Mullins in now. And it was, I'm guessing it was families that put nappies and wipes and things like that down, which then caused a problem. Our drain system then goes underneath the main road. So if there is a blockage, it could work out extremely expensive.
I was thinking of more, sorry to just follow up, convener. It was just like on other issues as well. So have you you kind of intimated your problems with parties in the garden or noise, excessive noise?
Yeah. The top decking area, I think you'll see photos I submitted. It's extremely steep steps up to it. Short trade, so there isn't exactly a lot of room for error for people coming down after a few wines. The parking obviously has been mentioned. It's a drop curb outside the property, so does that mean they're then going to be parking in front of my house as we had 2 weekends ago? Back at 7 Saturday and Sunday morning, a van with a side door getting slammed back and forward. No consideration, no courtesy.
Just as a point of order, I don't know, point of whatever clarification, I don't see the pictures of Suzanne and the. So just thank you for the picture. That's actually very illustrative. So that's about 2 meters, 3 meters away, you would say? Okay.
Just making sure that the online people have got the pictures, okay? I'm just waiting for confirmation they've got them. Yeah, do you have a copy for the applicant, Scott? That's perfect. Alan, have you got them? And Ellie, do you have them too, please? Could you just confirm, please?
Yeah, I got them.
Ellie, do you have them? Ellie, have you seen the pictures? Okay, we'll push on. Councillor Mayor, you have a question?
Sorry, convener, I was moving between Outlook and this meeting to look at the pictures because they're obviously an email. My question was, not having seen the pictures, I wanted to ask Suzanne if she could explain to me how exactly she thought her privacy and her amenities would be impacted by if the short-term let occupants were using the seating area which was closest to her window. Of course, at that point in time I hadn't seen it, so it was more difficult, but I'd still like to ask Suzanne if she could explain to me how she thinks her privacy will be affected by that.
Well, obviously it's rather close, so the noise is an issue. If they're in the upper decking area, they can really look in, I think, most of the windows along the houses that are, you know, the back gardens. It's quite an open back garden area between all the houses. Don't think anybody wants to put up big fences because then that'll then block out even more light. So at the moment they can, yeah, all of us can really look down into each other's. But when you get to know your neighbours, it's different having somebody different every weekend.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for Ms. Russell? Councillor Braun?
Hi, could we go back to the septic tank again? Sorry about this. Just which house is that septic tank? Is it in your garden or is it further down? And the second part of the question is, when there is a blockage, you've only had one obviously, but would it not be for all of you to equally share the cost of unblocking it? And Mr. Mullen mentioned about the road problem. Was that paid for by the council or did you all have to contribute to that? Is it not normal for you all to, that's effectively all of you to pay equal share, which would be the owners of Glenburn as well?
Yes, everybody paid an equal share, but if it's something that's got the possibility of happening more often, why should we need to chip in more often? Our drainage actually goes from Glenburn right down the back of the houses to where, just say Robert and Carol, opposite the shop. It then goes underneath the main road, under the shop and into the garden at the back of the shop. And that's where our septic tank is. So if there is any blockage, it could, so we all try to be as careful as we can be for that reason.
I'll just pause the meeting a second. Councillor Frampton, can you hear us okay? She's just dropped out the meeting. Okay, so she'll play no further part in this discussions. Okay, sorry about that. Councillor Braun.
Yeah, sorry. So the septic tank is behind the shop, you're saying, is that correct? Okay. Fine. Okay.
So, and this is just a little bit incidental context. Something we noticed when we had an issue last year, I think it was the septic system goes from Glenburn down 4 or 5 houses. It hits the Flemings, and if there are any issues, that is where most of the problems seem to transpire. So what we had last time we had an issue was grey water and sewage coming up through their shower system. And I don't know for sure, because we had to kind of discover how the septic system works as we were dealing with this problem. But I think it's because it takes a right angle at the Flemings, and therefore any water is being slowed down as it does that corner, or something like that. There's something to do with their property where that is where the problem will appear, even though it may be caused further up the system. Just a bit of context to add to that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Councillor Brown, followed by Councillor Robertson.
Sorry, a quick follow-up on that. So the problem is that the septic tank is presumably geared for 5 or 6 households, what you were saying, whatever. So the problem isn't the actual volume of the tank, it's the potential for blockage. Is that what we're saying?
So people not being used to having private septic tanks, people that are used to being on mains drainage, who maybe just don't care quite as much.
Just hang on, Joe, because what we'll do is, what I want to do is, I don't want to end up into a debate about this. We need to give the applicant the opportunity, and then we'll come back to give you an opportunity to round up, okay? Right, thank you. Okay, Councillor Robertson.
Sorry, I'm listening to the debate closely, and I'd like some advice. If we've got concerns about the drainage situation in Kirkmichael, is that grounds for us to refuse a short-term let?
That's something we can consider at another time. Yeah, about drainage and whatever. You'd have to consider that yourselves. But in terms of the drainage and blockage, you'd have to put it in the context that everybody, whether there was a short-term let guest in there, or a tenant or whatever, they would still use the system. So you'd have to consider that yourselves.
So it doesn't render the house unusable, but it would make it unusable for a short-term let. Is that possible? If there's a drainage situation and we refuse a short-term let because of that, would that not mean that the house wasn't usable for human habitation because the sewage system wasn't right?
I think it might be something we might have to pick up later, Willie, okay? So that's okay. Thank you. Are there any further questions? There's nothing online. Could I therefore please invite Christy Hare, please, to provide details of the application, respond to the objection.
Hi, everyone. My name's Christy Hare. I'm one of the directors of ECE Homes Limited. Together with my 2 sisters, we established this company to invest in property as a new business venture. This is our first short-term let, selected due to our shared rural upbringing and appreciation for the countryside. We believe this property offers an excellent opportunity to highlight the unique beauty of Perthshire, an area often overlooked in favour of more prominent Scottish destinations. We also understand from local residents that the property has previously operated as a short-term let, and that the previous owners actually bought the property themselves with intention to let out as a holiday let, however, use this as a secondary home. I personally live in the Strathardo Glen, less than 10 minutes away from the property, and I am the day-to-day manager for the property. In response to the objections received, I've broken these down into various sections. In response to parking, noise and disruption, the property is self-contained with no shared entrances or communal gardens. It comprises 2 bedrooms and accommodates a maximum of 4 guests, meaning that large groups or events such as hen or stag parties are not permitted. Our target demographic is couples and small families who would typically arrive in 1 or a maximum of 2 vehicles, thus not exceeding the usual parking demand for the area. To address concerns regarding noise, we've included a request in our welcome note for guests to be respectful of our neighbours and be particularly conscious of noise during the evening hours. We're also prepared to implement a curfew for outdoor activities such as music in the garden during summer months to preserve the peace of the neighbourhood. Waste management and septic tanks. We have instructed guests to leave all rubbish at the end of their stay, allowing us to dispose of it responsibly at recycling centres away from communal areas. Given the property will likely be let only once or twice per week, there will be no significant increase in the use of the septic tank or water supply compared to other properties in the village. A notice has also been provided in both the welcome pack and the bathroom, requesting that only toilet paper be disposed of in the toilet to prevent foreign objects from entering the septic tank system. Infrastructure and property management. As the day-to-day manager, I reside only a few miles from the property and regularly attend to inspect, clean and maintain it. I'm within 10-minute drive should any urgent issues arise. As I previously stated, we understand that the previous owners used the property as a second home and stayed 2 to 3 times per month. However, I'm at the property several times per week currently. We are keeping the heating on during the winter to prevent damp, flushing the systems regularly and proactively addressing any maintenance requirements. Community and economic impact. Our objective is to attract new visitors to support the local economy. Kirkmichael is situated in the heart of Perthshire. It benefits from a regular bus service and serves as an ideal base for exploring local attractions such as the ski centre, bars and restaurants, Pitlochry, Catran Trail, and for seasonal contract workers at Glenshee or local Christmas markets. Local businesses, including the Keogh Glen restaurant and the village's 3 bars, rely heavily on tourism generated by short-term lets. Without this influx of visitors, these establishments would struggle to remain viable, as local custom alone is insufficient, especially given current economic pressures. We view our short-term let as a means to contribute positively to the community and help sustain small businesses. Our commitment to collaboration. We note that 2 objections originated from other short-term let operators in the village, possibly due to concerns about increased competition. However, we believe there is sufficient demand to support all short-term let properties, offering travellers an alternative to busier destinations and promoting the tranquility and charm of Kirkmichael. We appreciate the concerns raised by village residents and are committed to working collaboratively to address them. Through open communication and a willingness to adapt, we hope to reach a mutually beneficial agreement that supports both the community and our business objectives. Despite differing opinions, we are confident that with effective management and cooperation, we can maintain the village's peaceful character and foster a thriving community for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Hare. Do members have any questions for Ms. Hare? Councillor Allen.
Thank you, convener, and thank you, Kirsty, for your deputation there. Towards the end of your deputation, you spoke about collaboration and open communication. Can you just give us a feel for how that's been and how you've gone about that so far? Thank you.
So prior to the application, when the notice was initially put up, I knocked on the door of the direct neighbours, the ones directly next door on either side of us. I managed to speak with Suzanne, who previously spoke earlier. However, it was quite clear that differences in opinions were there. So the conversation didn't last too long. I just introduced myself and heard the comments from Suzanne. I knocked on the other door. Unfortunately, no one was available, but I put my number through the door and a note to ask that they contact me if they have any concerns regarding the short-term let. Other than that, there's not been too much more communication other than speaking with other residents just passing in the street.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey, followed by Councillor Carr.
Excuse me. Thank you, convener. Thanks for your presentation. During your presentation, you made a comment that the 3 local pubs and the local shops rely heavily on Airbnb guests, which, to be honest with you, flies in the face of most evidence in towns the size of Kirkmichael. What evidence do you have for that statement?
So we were recently at the Keogh Glen restaurant, who the owner themselves said to us about their struggles day to day, and that they rely heavily on the tourism in the area. I know another short-term let that they recommend the Keogh Glen in all of their welcome packs, as have we included them, and they said that it wouldn't be viable for them to stay open if they didn't have this support. In terms of the bars, these are quite clearly quiet quite often when you drive past them, and personally we think that people coming to the village are much more likely to be more relaxed, go in for a drink when they're on holiday as such, rather than local residents perhaps.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Carr, followed by Councillor Braun.
Thank you. One of the points made was regarding parking, and there is a drop curb directly outside the property which would prevent any cars from parking directly outside the property. What plans would you have in place with regards to this, and how you would combat the fact that they wouldn't be able to park directly outside the property?
As just like any other resident on the main street, we would hope that we could use the whether there be a village car park or further up on the main street parking. We have avoided that as much as we can, the drop curb, and tried to be as close to our property as possible. We will advise any guests of this as well to leave this open. But as I don't know if there are any further recommendations on this, but we would hopefully just use the parking as would any other resident in the village.
Thank you. Councillor Braun, followed by Councillor Mayor.
Thanks, Convener. One of the main issues here across all the objectives is noise. And Ms Russell has that window very close by, as she's mentioned. We've got photographs here. You mentioned the curfew, but I'm just wondering if you can expand how you're going to control noise, because in Kirkmichael noise travels. Because at night time, I've been there several times at night, as you can imagine, and the road gets quieter, noise will travel, especially with these terrace houses. So could you give us a bit more information on how you're going to control this noise issue, particularly on a summer night when it's warm, whatever?
Yes, we will. So as I mentioned, we will have something in our welcome pack and in the initial messages to the guests when we provide them with their check-in information, and we'll reiterate this, particularly during the summer months when the garden will likely be used more. We will have, I mean, we can have a cut off, say, of, depending on recommendations, but we can have a cut off on music use or garden use. It's obviously quite difficult in terms of implementing that, but as I say, I'm not very far away from the property should any concerns arise, and I need to go along at short notice to speak with the guests involved. We do appreciate that it's a concern for the neighbours, but we don't want there to be any sort of disruption for anyone in the village, so we will try our best to mitigate that as much as possible.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor, followed by Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Convener. Excuse me. Hello, Christy. I would just like to ask actually a couple of questions. One regarding how you anticipate you will give your contact details out again to everybody in the immediate area who may feel that they need to contact you if there are any problems with the short-term let if it was granted. And secondly, what provision are you going to put in place for should you be unavailable? You know, if you were on holiday or something, is the management going to pass on to someone else, and will their contact details be provided to the neighbours of the cottage? Thank you.
Yes, so we could, I'm more than happy to share my contact details with the local residents. I'm aware that there is a community WhatsApp group that is used quite frequently. This can be shared in there if that is a preferred way to pass this on, or I can leave my details at the local shop as an alternative. One of my sisters is also very involved in the admin side of things, so she is the backup contact for us as well, should I not be available or out of the country. Failing that, as I say, I live just along the road with some families, so there are other people who can nip along at short notice if there were any sort of issues and I wasn't available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey, followed by Councillor Braun, who's got two further questions.
Sorry, hi Christy. The question I want to have, you heard the other correspondence noting, I'm going to get away from practical matters, but noting how your development would affect the rest of the village. And during your presentation, you said something like in adding to the growth of the village. By losing a house in the village, that's probably not adding the growth. Would you like to comment or maybe even respond to their comments as regards this? Thanks.
Yes, I do appreciate that that's a concern, especially for a small village. However, when we were purchasing the property, we did get a local agency to provide us with a quote for a monthly rental fee, which in our opinion was very high, particularly for the likes of young couples that are possibly looking to move to the area. This would likely result in a high turnover for long-term rent properties, which is why we are trying the short-term let.
Yeah, it wasn't kind of really my question, to be honest with you. It was more the effect on the overall village type of thing. And I'd like your thoughts on that, if possible. I understand the economic advantage of doing it with the short term rather than long term, but your thoughts on that other issue would be appreciated.
Yeah, yes, in terms of the schools and things like that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as with short-term let guests, obviously, we understand they're not going to be contributing to the schools and the local concerns such as that, but they will be contributing in other ways, such as I mentioned earlier about the businesses and contributing to the economy in that way.
Thank you. Councillor Braun, two questions.
Yeah, thanks again, convener. First point you mentioned about operation. Have you got any specific times when you're going to operate the short-term let? Is it going to be all year, or are you looking at more summer than winter?
It would be all year. However, we do anticipate it to be busier in the summer months rather than the winter months. But yes, over the winter also with the likes of the ski centre and other attractions going on nearby.
And the second question comes back to one of the concern, the septic tank. Now, put my neck on the line here a little bit. I believe that every house, certainly from Bridgecali to Enoch is on septic tanks. So we all know what we do with a septic tank, what goes down and what doesn't go down. I know you mentioned that you would have a book, obviously advising people and probably sign in the bathroom. But it's very difficult to control people, particularly people who live in a town and don't understand about septic tanks. And it's very easy for them to put something down which they shouldn't have done. What's your thoughts about helping unblock that? Because all your neighbours will be aware of how a septic tank works, what they can and cannot do. If it's a blockage, I mean, all eyes are going to be turning to you, I would suspect. I mean, are you happy with that situation?
Yes, I understand that it is more of a concern for guests to be coming that are not used to a private septic tank. As I said, yes, we've put in notes and notices regarding what to flush and what not to. We've also put bins throughout the property so that these can be used, and so no one is tempted to flush anything they shouldn't. My sister is also, who is another director of the company, is also involved in drainage themselves as a company. So this is, yes, if eyes do look to us, and if it is clear that it is as a result of our short-term let, then we can get someone to action a repair for that as soon as we could, and I'm happy to coordinate that if need be.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, convener. When you bought the house, were you in a competition or were you the only offer?
I'm not sure in terms of offers. However, when we viewed the property there, the previous owners advised that we were the 8th people, the 7th or 8th person to view the property. So there had been a bit of interest in the property, but I think it had been on the market for a bit over a month before we viewed it.
Thank you. I have a question for you, Ms. Hare. It's about one of the objections has raised the potential of you using the communal bins. My understanding is that you were required to apply to have a commercial uplift of your garbage, which will need additional dustbins. Is that something you've considered doing?
Yes, we're aware of the those requirements for the bins, as we're prepared to speak to anyone about anything that's required to arrange that. But as I noted, we would be looking to mitigate any sort of issues with that, and because we know that there's quite strict or there's been previous issues with using the bins incorrectly and the recycling centre, so we would be looking to do to sort that ourselves on checkout to hopefully avoid any issues with the bins.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, Councillor Allen, I do apologise. Yeah.
Forgive me for coming back. I should have asked this the last time. When you made your offer, was there a closing date or was your offer accepted?
Our offer was accepted.
Okay, if there are no further questions and nothing online. Oh, Councillor Braun, I apologise.
Yeah, convener, actually, I need to ask, is it possible to ask a technical question of the objectors about the septic tank? I'm sorry, it's just come to mind now. If you're not allowing it, that's fine. It was just a very quick question on the unblocking side of it. Obviously, if the septic tank is blocked, it's an inconvenience for water, whatever. The actual unblocking, is that done? Are inspecting chambers? I mean, how inconvenient is that side of it? I'm not sure which objector, Mr. Gribben might want to answer that one, but.
The last time there was a blockage, the contractor had to break open the concrete slab in front of the garage. So, you know where the shop is, where the old petrol tanks were. 3 different places he had to break it open because they couldn't find where the blockage was. Now, that must have taken at least a fortnight just to find the blockage. So it had been sitting blocked for how long? 3-4 weeks. So it's a major cost and it's a major inconvenience. And I think, as Susan said, her house will be all the houses before you get to the end one that are going to be impacted first, because the blockage backs up into their houses.
Thanks, Joe. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, no, I understand that sounds to be a huge inconvenience. I would I mean, I don't know if they've maybe already covered this, but I don't know if there was any proof that it was from the short-term let property or if it was just assumed.
Okay, thank you. So if there are no further questions, there's nothing online. Could I please invite Mr. Mullen to sum up, please?
Again, mindful of your comments about my initial concern, but wondering if reducing the number of properties available to a community to buy for residents might be part of the fact of the high cost of renting and buying properties, but otherwise summing up just the general effect in the village. Quick point on how hotels and so on rely on it. Anecdotally, I know that 20 years ago, before short-term lets became really, really prolific in the area, we had 6 pubs in the Blackwater, Kirkmichael area that were full. We don't. We have 3 pubs that are struggling. We've half the residents we used to have.
Thank you very much. Could I please invite Mr. Grimmon to sum up?
I believe that we've reached saturation point for short-term lets in Kirkmichael. And I'm wondering, you mentioned that there's going to be a consultation. I'm wondering if there's a potential for this application to either be paused or to be given on a temporary basis until the consultation has been carried out. The consultation is looking at the overall impact of short-term lets in small communities like ours. They undermine economic activity, they undermine social cohesion, they undermine family cohesion. And I believe we've got to a breaking point where we're going to become like villages in Cornwall, which are just tourist centres. There's no more social activity in these places. The village halls closed down, the churches closed down, everything closes down and it just becomes a commercial operation. And that's what short-term lets are, they're commercial operations. I would be interested to know whether this short-term let is going to be run as a business and therefore won't pay community charge, because that again is going to undermine income coming into Perth and Kinross Council that funds our services. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I please invite Ms. Russell to sum up, please?
Just mentioned, yes, there's a lot of holiday lets in the village, and the last few weeks I've been looking to see availability, and I'd say on average there's been at least 12 of them, if not more, just on Airbnb available. 12 empty houses that could have people in them spending money in the hotels and shops over the winter. Airbnb, short-term let, great in the summer, get people in, but people have built specific cabins, they've built shepherd's huts, they've adapted their outbuildings to provide accommodation, which I think is sufficient for the size of the village. I think that's it.
Thank you. Could I please invite Ms. Hett to sum up, please? And Mrs. Hett, sum up.
Yes, just to, I don't have much to add to my statement earlier, but just to reiterate that we are willing to work with the community to hopefully find a middle ground for all parties involved, and we don't want there to be disruption in the community. It's not our aim at all, and we just like to give back to the community, and yeah, so other than my earlier comments, I don't have much more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do members wish to have further discussion? Okay.
Yes, please.
Could I also remind Councillor Frampton, as you dropped out of the meeting earlier, you'll have to play no further part in this paper. Thank you. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for your time. Is everybody back? Councillor Allen, there he is. Alan Watts. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for your patience. My motion is to grant the license subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, which will be recommending that you use the village car parking. In the first instance, condition 2 would be a 10 o'clock curfew. Condition 3 would be an instruction on the use of the toilet and reminder of the use of the septic tank. Condition 4 would be in your information pack, you include the privacy notice to remind people to keep the noise down and respect their neighbours. And condition 5 would be you share your telephone number with the neighbours along with an alternative neighbour in the event of any problems occurring. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second, convener.
Thank you. Do I have any amendments?
Yeah, I'd like to move an amendment to refuse the application. I don't think this house is, property is suitable to be a short-term let, particularly due to its closeness of the garden to the bedroom and the type of house it is. If I have a seconder, I'm happy to go ahead.
Okay, is there a seconder?
Thanks, Committee. Yes, I'm happy to second on this occasion. I think there are questions here about noise and also the privacy of neighbours here looking at the photographs in the garden. So I'm happy to second to refuse on the basis that it is unsuitable for short-term let in this day and age. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I please hand over to the clerk to carry out a roll call vote?
Thank you, convener. So we are dealing with the motion proposed by convener Mike Williamson, seconded by Councillor Macpherson, to grant the application following the additional conditions provided by the convener. And we have an amendment by Councillor Harvey, seconded by Councillor Braun, to refuse the application due to the property being unsuitable for short-term let. In line with the section 21 of the council standing orders, we will go to a roll call vote. So members, when I call out your name, please indicate whether you're voting for the motion or the amendment. Councillor Allen.
Amendment.
Councillor Anderson.
Motion.
Councillor Braun.
Amendment.
Councillor Carr.
Motion.
Councillor Harvey.
Amendment.
Councillor Macpherson.
Motion.
Councillor Mayor.
The motion.
Councillor Robertson.
Motion.
Bailey Williamson.
Motion.
Councillor Watt.
Motion.
We have 7 votes for the motion and 3 votes for the amendment. Therefore, the motion is carried.
Okay, thank you. License has been granted subject to the conditions that we've attached to the license, and I'll hand over to the delegated authority, to the Strategic League and Legal Governance Service to formulate and draft the necessary wording to give effect to these conditions. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, members, we now move on to the next paper. Is it possible to bring Councillor Frampton back into the room, please? Is it possible to bring Councillor Frampton back in, please? Members, do you want a 5-minute comfort break for the toilet or anything? Oh, sure. Shall we just proceed? Okay then, members, we move on to paper 5, which is a grant of a late hours catering licence. Members, this report is page 33 onwards in your documentation pack. Oh, could you please confirm your name, please? Thank you very much. I'll now hand over to Moira McLaren, who will introduce the report and advise on procedures for the hearing.
Objections to this, to your application. So what will happen is that you'll just explain why it is you want to apply to have an extended late hours catering license out with, you know, our normal hours of 11 o'clock and 1 p.m. This goes beyond our normal policies. If you could explain what your position is and why you're making the application, and then you'll be asked further questions about it, and then you can then sum up your position at the end.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I mean, the reason why we want to have an extended hours catering, because we did see some gap in the market because the McDonald's are open, so they are doing quite well, and we think we can create some more jobs as well with extending hours of the catering, and we just only applying for delivery only. After 11 o'clock, we just close the door and do the delivery service only, which one will create no objection in the local communities or anything. And I think shortest thing is we just see the gap in the market and we would create some more job. And the way the businesses are at the moment, more you work, more you maybe get and to survive in this situation.
Do many members have any questions for Mr. Raymond? Councillor Braun.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Obviously, presumably you feel there's a demand for this to be delivering this time early in the morning. You feel there's a demand for this sort of business in the early morning to be delivering?
I think there is a demand for in the market because there is a couple of businesses in the town. They are doing that after 11 o'clock and they are doing well. So we thought there is a demand for that.
Okay, Councillor Harvey, followed by Councillor Allen, and then Councillor McPherson.
Hi, Convener. Just a quick question. Thank you very much for turning up today, and I do appreciate you trying to create more jobs in the city. What could you just tell me what time? I don't live up that end of town. How late is your shop open now, and how late are you asking for it to be open going forward?
At the moment, we are open till 11 o'clock, and then we are planning to open till 4 in the morning. Mostly, well, we are planning for all 7 days, but mostly we will be hoping to be busy on the weekends.
Councillor Allen, followed by Councillor McPherson.
Afternoon, Aziz. Thank you for coming along today. It's good that you're looking to find a gap in the market. I get that, and there's going to be jobs available. Just with regards to those jobs, can you tell me a bit about the environment that you work in and how noisy it's going to be having delivery drivers coming and going? Thank you.
I don't think so. There will be any much noise in the area because it's a retail area. People that come and go in this area, so there is no disturbance. I believe there will be no disturbance in the area for the noise or anything. There will be a couple of drivers will be working. So what we will do is we'll pack the deliveries and put on the delivery station inside the shop. They come and collect the delivery and go. So only the noise will be the starting of the cars, I would say.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Convener. Mr. Raymond, my question is just about your observation that you feel that you've identified a gap in the market. I just wonder, is that how many deliveries per day, or probably better to say by week, given that there's probably a variation throughout the week and weekends are probably going to be busier than weekdays. But I was just wondering, have you done any sort of assessment as to how many deliveries you would hope to make over the course of, say, a week in order to make the operation viable? Thank you.
We are hoping basically if we can increase to after 11 o'clock up to 20 deliveries, that's what we are hoping, and maybe a little bit more over the weekend, 20 a day. So, and over the weekend, maybe a little bit more, maybe 30 a day or 30 a night, after 11 o'clock.
So just to clarify, so sort of weekdays generally you'd be hoping for say 20 orders, and then maybe at the weekends maybe 30 orders per. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is around about let me see the noise impact at that time of night and how you're going to manage the noise of people going in and out to before they deliver and collecting the food before delivery. How are you going to manage that noise so late at night?
There will be no even collection available. It's only delivery after 11 o'clock, and we will lock the door. And it's the drivers only come in when we give them a missed call on the phone. What we're thinking, if they can sit in the car or they can be in the shop, so they can go and out. So
this is the deliveries are going out of a shop. You won't be able to pick up food from the shop. Is that correct? Will you be able to come and collect food from the shop, or is this entirely? Or I'm trying to separate it. Is it entirely home deliveries, or is it where somebody can pop in, order the food, wait for it, and go away again? Which of those two is it?
After 11 o'clock, it will be strictly delivery only. No collection, or nobody can come in the shop.
So therefore, the belief in the shop, and I take it there will be door opening and closing, and I would imagine people coming backwards and forwards trying to pick up food late at night, and there will be a congregation of people within the streets. So will you be able to manage that noise?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we will be able to manage. We will address the drivers not to make any noise and not to stand in the street and talk. Just stay in the shop or in the car.
Thank you very much. Are there further questions? There are no further questions to Mr. Raymond. Could I invite Mr. Raymond to sum up, please? Would you like to sum up as to why we should give you a license, please?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if we get the chance to commit to approve our license, and we will be creating more business in the town and more jobs in the town. That's what I can say. It's the shortest thing. I mean, I don't have big thing to explain, but it will be good for the players, and I think players maybe does need it. But that's all I can say.
Okay, thank you very much. Do members wish to adjourn for further discussion? No, okay. Therefore, my motion is to grant the license. Do I have a seconder? Thank you.
Yeah, second, Mike.
Okay, I've got 3 seconders. Are there any amendments? If there are no amendments, the license has been granted. Thank you. Thank you.
This was a bit scary.
Yeah, that goes on. That's it on. And then
I noticed Councillor Frampton is back in the meeting. Does anybody know, is she able to join us, or has she just dropped out of the meeting completely?
Convener, I think she has dropped out completely because she was having sound issues with her equipment.
All right, okay, thank you very much. Thanks. Okay. And now moving on to paper 6, which is a grant of market operator license. Members, this report is page 35 onwards in your document pack. For this item of business, we're joined by the applicant. Could you please confirm your name, please?
Jacqueline Foster.
Much. And a written objection was received from Mr. Joe Carney. Is that you?
Yes, that's correct, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Thank you very much. I will now hand on to Moyna McLaren, who will introduce the report and advise on the proceedings for the hearing.
Because there's an objection in this case, we would ask the objector yourself to speak about your objection, why you're objecting to the application. And then what happened is the committee will ask you a few questions, and then we'll go to yourself and you can respond to the issues that have been raised and explain why you want to have the license granted. And the committee will ask questions, and then you can sum up as an objector, and you can sum up and you have the last opportunity to sum up after that.
Thank you very much. So therefore, could I please invite Ms. Foster to provide details of her application? Oh, I do apologise, Mr. Carney. Could I please invite you to provide details of your objection? Sorry.
There we go. My objection is the boot sale is not big enough. It's not safe. There's not enough parking, and there's been a few occasions where there's been quite a few issues. It's affecting local businesses who have storage facilities where they have to go and collect their work trucks. It's other storerooms that are affected. We have bin days on every second Saturday, which affects the bins as well. So basically, it's just an objection of how small it is. It holds about 11 cars at a maximum capacity, and with 11 cars in the boot sale, no one can turn around in it. There was actually an incident where somebody tried to come out of the boot sale and hit the fence post because of the size of this boot sale. There's double yellow lines on the one side of the road, and on the other side is flats, and they are the street parking for the residents. That is always full. I didn't realise, but I have brought stuff with me to show you pictures off the street on a regular basis. There is no parking whatsoever. There was also a noise complaint. So at 4:30 in the morning, my wife woke me up and she was petrified. She thought somebody was breaking in the house. We had to grab the kids from the downstairs bedroom and hide upstairs in the top bedroom. And then she sent me down to have a look. And we figured out after a while that it was actually coming from outside. And we thought it was the neighbour's shed that was getting broken into. And it turns out somebody was setting up for a boot sale that was supposed to start at 8 o'clock at 4:30 in the morning. I did send the video, and I know on that video my language wasn't the best, but I was upset and I'd been woken up. I've got 2 disabled kids, one of them that goes in ISP class, and for the rest of the week it affected him greatly, and he went to school and talked about how he had to get rushed upstairs. It is too close to residential properties, and it's just not a big enough area. There is plenty of areas in Cooper Angus. I have run boot sales myself. We used to do one up at the cycling hub, and there's a big car park. There's the Largan Park view, Largan Park up the road. which has got plenty of car parking space as well. And you could, at the cycling hub, it's an unused building at the moment, so it could get used as an indoor space for the boot sale. And there's the town hall car park, there's the Red House car park, there's the common ground opposite Largan Park. But I think this area where the car boot sale is currently being held is 12 cars inside. So if 12 cars are inside and 30 cars show up to come and view this boot sale, there is no parking. If you look at any of the pictures that have been sent, you will see this, and that is my concern. I don't think it's safe. I think it's too close to residential, and I don't think it's the correct area for the boot sale. I'm not objecting against the idea of a boot sale. I've ran them myself. We've ran town yard sales where everyone in the town put tables outside their house, and we sold. And I'm not objecting the actual idea of a boot sale. It's just the location. Thank you. Thanks.
Do you have the video? Who has the video? Is it possible to see the video, please?
Sorry, can I just say again, I was upset and it was 4:30 in the morning. So, yeah.
The recording is going to have to be played without sound, but we do have a transcript available if members wish to see it.
So for the people online, there's going to be a transcript sent out online. I think everybody's got the computers handy. If you haven't, then can you share it with somebody? So a transcript will get sent out online and we'll be watching the video without sound. Okay. I take it we'll be watching it on the TV, whereas the transcript. So you all should have received your the transcript just now. Okay. Would you like to explain what's happening, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, sorry. There was another video before that where you could hear the banging from inside my house. I'd come out of my house, and this is how close it is. I walked around the corner, and I confronted a gentleman who was now sitting in his car after setting up at the boot sale 4 hours early. This was, I think, about 5 o'clock in the morning. That fence that you see at the side of his car is my house, my line off my house. It's extremely close. I was upset, angry, because my kids had to be pushed up the stairs, and on the chance that somebody was breaking inside our house. I confronted the gentleman. I did shout at him. Be honest, I did lose my temper. Wasn't violent, but I was upset, and I went back to the house and reported this to the hub who run the boot sales. But I was going to say there was another video where I sent, and I don't know if you've got that one, where you can actually hear the noise inside my house at 4:45 in the morning. At the time, I actually thought it was 6 o'clock. And then when we looked at the time, it was actually 4:45 or something like that. Thank you. Not that I'm aware of. Just like to state that's in my kitchen, because my neighbour below, he has a shed, and at the time when we heard it was banging, and I realised it was metal and metal, I thought someone was breaking into the shed. But that noise is a 2-second video, but it went on for over 20 odd minutes. I think I cut that one out because there probably was colourful language on that one.
Do members have any questions for Mr. Carney? Councillor Mayer?
Thank you, convener. Excuse me. Hello, Mr. Carney. I just would like to ask, this incident which happened, and obviously very early in the morning, it would have disturbed anybody, I think. And if you have got 2 children, I can understand that was particularly upsetting for everybody. But did that incident have anything at all to do with the lady who is making the application for the market licence today? Thank you.
Oh, she's in charge of the boot sale, so I'm not quite understanding the question. She runs the boot sale, and the boot sale was run up at the Strathmore Hub, which is next door to me. I originally sent the videos over to the Strathmore Hub, and I haven't actually sent any conversation with Jackie apart from at a later date.
Okay, thank you. I'll perhaps address the question to Miss Forster herself when I get the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Harvey, followed by Councillors Allen, then McPherson.
Hi, convener. Thanks very much. Thanks for your presentation, pal, as well. It's I don't think I would have minded the language, but maybe the others would have. Just wanted to ask a question. Where you said you live next door, is that the Causeway End side, or is that backing on the Trades Lane side of the?
There you go. That is the Trades Lane side. So my garden is sitting on the back fence of Trades Lane. So it's 20 metres away, something like that, not even that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen, followed by Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. I've got some photographs here, which I think you sent in. Yeah. It would have been helpful to have seen some photographs of the actual car boot sale, the car boot sale itself. All I'm seeing is empty car parks, which doesn't really give me a recollection of what it might look like. The picture that you shared, from what I saw you walking up to a car. I didn't see anything else.
I was going to say, I don't know what picture that is at the moment because I've sent quite a few pictures over. Yeah, so that is the double yellow lines that go into the hub, so there's no parking there. I have got images off the street where the customers of the car boot sale would recommend to park. I don't know if I could pass them over to you, but so on this car park, Jackie would probably tell you better, but I think the maximum they've got in is probably about 12 cars, which in a car boot sale, when you've got customers, if 30 customers show up for this boot sale, there is nowhere to go. If somebody wants to leave early, there could be an accident. There's no turning about in it. It's as narrow. It's as wide as this room here. There's the length of this building here. So you're getting 12 cars in here, probably twice the width. But there's no way you can turn about. But this is it okay if I pass this over? This is just, or I can hold it up. This is just a pitch off this was Saturday morning on a non-boot sale day. This was, I think it was this Saturday just gone, or the Saturday before. And that's what we'd be putting up with on a regular basis anyway. But with the boot sale going on at the same time, it has caused quite a bit of nuisance on the street. I have got, sorry, I honestly, I didn't think I was, I didn't know it was like this, you see. I thought I was coming here and giving you evidence and stuff like that. But I have got a list of names and addresses from the street who also are not happy about it.
Yeah, my secondary question was, it says in our paperwork that there's a petition. How many names have you got on that?
This is from people that just live on the street. So this is myself, Amber, a guy who lives on Trades Lane, another guy who has a workshop on Trades Lane, another guy who's got another workshop on Trades Lane, Croft View, Lower Vierzon, Minor Vierzon, Croft Bank. These are all houses in Trades Lane that have had issues with the boot sale because there is not enough parking. If you move your car at 10 o'clock in the morning, you don't get your car back in. You have to put your car out on the main street and wait for a space and run around. So people was afraid to actually take their car out and stuff like that. But I have got a list of 10 businesses and names in the area, well, in the street, sorry, that aren't happy with the boot sale being there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Macpherson.
Thank you, convener. Mr. Carney, is the car boot sale, is that a long-standing event in?
I think it's been going on. It was originally held at the building that I rent. Now it got held at the Strathmore Hub, and I think it's been going for. I know it's been off for now for 6 months, but I think it was about a year going. But there has been boot sales before that have been at other locations that have also gone on over for a year, but no complaints were made.
And how long have you lived in your current property?
8 years. 8 years this December.
So how long have car boot sales been going on in that vicinity while you've lived in that property?
4 or 5 months. I'm assuming about 4 or 5 months. But like I said, I was always on the objection of, I think that there should be a boot sale in the town. I think there should be somewhere for the community. I think most of them don't come from Cooper Angus, but I think there should be a place where people can do that. But after a while, you see the effect it's having on the street. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. Really, you say you lived there 8 years and car boot sales have been going on for 4 to 5 years, but 4 to 5 months, and is that for the period of time that the applicant has been running the car boot sale?
Yes, I'm just roughly guessing. Jackie could probably give you a closer time scale on how long the boot sales have been going up at the Strathmore Hub. But like I said, there was incidents before, and I think the last straw is when my kids got woken up at 4:30 in the morning, and then once I put the complaint in, other neighbours contacted me and said they wanted to put their name in as well and get a petition going. Thank you.
And just a question on the petition, you say you've got something approaching 40 names on there.
I didn't get names from residents all over Cooper Angus. I got the people from the street. So that's all I did. I knocked on the 16 houses that were there. The people that didn't, a lot of people didn't answer. I think there was one person that said no, but 10 people have signed it to say and gave their details for the boot sale not to be there on a street that doesn't have a lot of houses.
Thank you. So you have a document there with the names and addresses of individuals who have physically signed the petition, have you?
Yes, they told me to put their name and their contact down, and if any further they could, you can contact them. But they're quite happy to make sure the boot sale is not getting put in trades lane.
So just to be clear, so they haven't actually signed it, but they've given you permission to put their names down on the list. Is that right?
So long story short, I actually got a petition and they all signed it, and then we misplaced the petition, and these were the names that we went round, and we just went back round to the houses and said, "Are you still happy for us to put your name forward as a complaint about the boot sale?"
And did you submit that document to the licensing team for scrutiny? Thank you.
No, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't quite know how this worked. I thought it was something a little bit different, to be honest. I didn't know there were so many people here, and I thought I was giving out all the information today for you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Any further questions for Mr. Carney?
No.
There's not. Okay, so could I therefore invite Mr. Foster to provide details of our application and respond to the objection?
I'll just start from what I've got written down. On Saturday, the 30th of August, there was a noise in the Strathmore Community Hub car park at approximately 5 AM. A person who was going to attend the car boot sale got there far too early and decided to fix something, making a clanging noise which lasted a little while. Mr. Carney heard the noise and we can see on the video that he sent to the hub manager berating the noise, saying it's coming from the car boot sale. He states in his statements that he had to take the children up the stairs. In the video, while the noise was going on, there's no scenes of running about or screaming or whatever that I would gauge from children. I've got disabled children myself, so I know what they're like, ASD, they go skits. He thought the house was being broken into. Where are we? And then he decided to go over to the car in the car park. Now, I've got a few pictures. I didn't submit them because I didn't know how this worked. But I have got a picture of the car boot sale. I've got a couple of, I don't know if you want to, if they can get passed round or not. I've got a couple of folders of can't use them. Right. Right, well, I just hold one up then. Is that okay? Just hold one up. Yeah, right. This is the car boot sale on the day in question. I don't know if you can see it. This is pointing down to Mr. Carney's house, which is here, which is very close to the car that was making the noise on the day. This is the fence that Mr. Carney, and as I say, this is the car boot setup. Not very many cars in it at all. Now, Mr. Carney knows the person that made the noise very well, as he would attend Mr. Carney's auctions. Car boot sale, when it was held in Mr. Carney's yard for the auction, before he decided he didn't want to do it. I started off with the car boot sale by going to the car boot sale just to sell. Mr. Carney and another man ran it, but the other person fell out and I stepped in and started running it. I didn't know. I was under the impression that if you gave to charity, you didn't need a license. I didn't understand that all the profits from every single card boot pitch had to go to charity. So I apologise, or I would not have ran it. That is how I got into it. When Mr. Carney stopped the card boot sale, just out the blue, I decided to try and find somewhere else to hold it, because we had a good few people come in, and it was good for their mental health. So I wanted to try and find. The hub was my first idea because it's got toilets, and I can rent the hub, so it's got toilets, got electricity. So we've got a boiler and everyone uses it for making their own tea, coffee, whatever they want. It's self-service. He claims there's no room for the car boot sale, but we have had craft fairs inside the hub as well, and it's the same amount inside as outside. So even if we didn't get the car boot sale up and running again, we would have the same amount of cars parked for inside. There's no parking in Trades Lane that I say to everyone that comes to the car boot sales. I make it well aware that there's no parking and they've to use the car parks. There's one just at the end of Trades Lane, which I'm not going to show them because obviously it's not. But just at the end of Trades Lane, there's a car park in George Square, sorry. And there is another car park just a couple of streets away behind the corner shop. I can't remember the name of that street. So there's 2 car parks, and there is a lot of parking on the main streets in George Street and Union Street. We have got a very busy charity shop in Coupar-Angus, and I actually think it creates more traffic, especially on a Saturday, because it's changeover at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we get a lot of volume, but they're not parked in Trades Lane. They're parked on the main roads or in the car parks. I also point out to people that we've got a good bus service. It's every half an hour, and there is bus stops just outside George Square car park and just over the road. So we actually get quite a lot of people coming by bus. We've had them from Arbroath and the other side of Perth. They'll go into Dundee or Perth and then come out to us. We also get a lot of people walking. We've got a lot of in-town people coming to buy. We don't get a huge amount of people out with. The car boots is it's a very small community event. We have come, one person's wife died. He was persuaded by his family to come along, and we more or less all know each other. So he came along and we managed to get him lifted up. He started going to church and he came out of his bereavement, not 100%, but a lot. Another gentleman was suffering depression after an illness. He was persuaded to come along and it's helped him. We've got a gentleman that has early onset dementia. He was attending the previous car boot sales until obviously now can't drive. So he gets taken to the boot sale, and again, if his family isn't able to be with him all the time, we're such a small community that we look after him, we help him out. And as I said about the charity event, I do give to SCA, the Scottish Air Ambulance. Such a small place, it's not a huge amount, but every little helps in the pitch. So after rent's paid and storage fees, they have received from myself, and we have just done a charity jumble sale, which inside the hub, and all the proceeds went to SCA and the Coupar-Angus Christmas Lights Fund. I split it between them. Now, I do have, when I did the jumble sale, and just last week I went round the houses that go right round the hub, I have got an opposed to the boot sale and I don't have any signatures. I have got pages of the signatures in support of the car boot sale. I have put an R and circled it for the residents that surround the car boot sale. No one is against it. I had one gentleman didn't want to sign it because he's neither for it or against it, which is fair enough. Now, the garages that Mr. Carney is speaking about, the hub manager has spoken to them. They don't wish to sign against or for because they think it might affect their business. But they are willing to sign a document stating this, that they're neither for or against. They're very, middle of the road.
Mr. Canny, you've had your opportunity to speak, okay? What we'll do is once we've finished hearing this deputation, you'll be given an opportunity to sum up and then we'll come back and that's the process, okay?
I'm just summing up just put here the fact that Mr. Carney has put in a late complaint and states that it's the hub that's applied for the licence makes me believe he has a grudge against the hub and not the car boots itself, which he has admitted that he's not against the car boot sale. But he also, on the day of the complaint with the noise, he never once came and approached me when he knew I would be there at 8 o'clock when we said, I've always come, the gates won't be open. Although they were shut, they weren't locked that day, and the gentleman himself opened the gate and went in himself. He wasn't told to go in. And that's it.
Thank you. I've got a number of questions. Councillor Carr, followed by Councillor Braun.
Thank you. The question was around the locking of the gate. I can see here it's a big metal gate, and there is a sign up saying that the gate will be locked when the hub isn't in use. So I was going to ask that question as to how someone gained access at 5 o'clock in the morning. So maybe you could answer that.
Yes, the gate used to be locked, but then because of the car parking situations, the residents were using the hub car park because it's deemed to be a community establishment. And the hub manager had been not locking the gate for quite a while, I'm not sure how long. But since the issue with the gentleman with the noise, it has been declared that the gate will be locked. And if we get the go ahead again, it will not reopen. It'll be locked until I get there and start the car boot sale. But it wasn't locked because residents were using it.
Thank you. Councillor Braun, followed by Councillor Mayor.
Thanks, Convener. Thank you for your deputation. On average, how many vehicles would you get there per car boot sale? And what is the normal time that you advise people to turn up to start preparation-wise?
On average, I'd say 8. Could be less, could be more. And I always stated in the Facebook posts that the gate for setup would be open, and setup was 8:30 a.m. for a 9:30 a.m. start.
Thank you. Councillor Mayor.
Hi, Ms Foster. I think my question is actually a bit of a mashup of the last two questions that have been asked, because it was to do with the time that people turned up. And since we've now had it clarified, the situation with the gate being locked until you get there and open it, and also that you recommend what time people should turn up, can I ask, would you make a stipulation for people that if they were to turn up too early, they would not be allowed to participate? Is that something you would consider doing? Thanks.
Yes, very much so, because I did always put on the posts that not to turn up too early. There was no parking in Trades Lane, to use the car parks or responsibly on the streets. I do put cones, or I don't do it now. I did put cones out along the side of the pavement beside the double yellow lines to make sure no one even parked on the pavement. So I did have a gentleman with a big Jeep park up at the gate, and I told him to move and got abuse from him for doing that. But, you know, I do it. I wouldn't not. And yes, people would get told that they weren't allowed in if they did abuse and not follow the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen.
Thank you, convener. And thank you, Jacqueline. You suggested that the person in the car that was causing the problem at 4:30 in the morning was known to both of you. Therefore, we would probably know that there was no access prior to 8 o'clock. Why was he there at 4:30 in the morning?
Gentleman concerned isn't the full shilling, shall we say. He's mentally not right. His excuse to me was, you know, I can't sleep, so I just came out. And, you know, myself and the hub manager both told him that it wasn't acceptable turning up at that time in the morning. What was it now? He'd said he'd been watching it was either the football or some sport on the telly, and instead of going to his bed, he had dragged his disabled wife out the house, who has dementia and has been inside hospital on the last few, well, before August, she'd been in hospital on a few occasions getting operated on. He'd took her out, and as I said, why did you have to come out at that time? And his excuse was that he couldn't sleep, but he was specifically told he turned up slightly earlier previously, but he was told not to come too early. So, I mean, in retrospect, we should have had the gate locked.
Can you tell me, is that an isolated incident? Do people normally turn up at 8 o'clock?
Very, yes, isolated. Maybe just before 8 o'clock, but nothing like that.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson.
Regards to the Saturdays for your car boot sale, is there a restriction on numbers of cars that are allowed into the car park to operate for the car boots sale? Because this is quite a restricted car park. I know myself from going up on Wednesday evenings when the Blairgowrie Rotary Club meets there, and you can't get a space.
Yes, we have got limited space. It is booking only. If I don't have full booked, I will put a post up and say that, you know, we've got 1 or 2 spaces for anyone just turning up, but predominantly it is you book or you don't get in.
Yeah, you book, but what number do you have as a restriction, a maximum number that you would allow?
We have a maximum of 12.
Okay, are there any further questions? It doesn't look like there are any further questions, so therefore, could I please invite Mr. Kelly to sum up, please?
Just a few things that Jackie brought up. First of all, after the wife took the kids upstairs, the house is quite a long house. So it goes up and then you go through the living room and then you go through another room, which goes to the kitchen where I had the video. So for her to comment that she has disabled kids as well, and she don't think that anything was going on is incorrect. Second of all, I'd like to say that the gentleman who owns the unit, who has signed my petition, has spoke to me on several occasions saying that he has been blocked in. He has had to chase around the boot sale trying to get his vehicle out, is quite paranoid about what would happen if he did sign a petition. So there's been a few incidents where I can't bring up, but where people have been targeted for not having a boot sale, for putting a petition against a boot sale. So he is probably feeling the way a lot of people in the town feel, that you know, they're going to get targeted. This boot sale holds a maximum of 12 cars. I don't know how many of you people have been to this car park and have seen this car park. It is just not big enough. It is not safe enough for a boot sale. I'm quite happy to I've done the boot sales. I've ran them. I'm quite happy to help you find another space. It's not the boot sale I have a problem with. I know half the people that go to the boot sale. Most of them are my customers at my auction house. So it upset the 6 people that went because I put a complaint in. But I'm quite happy to help them find a space. But that car park is not big enough. The street is not good enough. It's, in my eyes, I think that they should be looking closer to the cycling hub. And I think Jack is saying that it's personal towards the hub. It's not personal to the hub. There's a thing going on. My concern is that I think they have been advised to look elsewhere and find a bigger spot, but they have stuck their heels in and decided that this is the only place they want. And I think this is the only place they want is because I've put this complaint in. And like I said, I've got nothing against the boot sale. I speak to half the people that come to the boot sale. Half of them still come, most of them still come to my auction. So yeah, thank you.
As the car boot sale is or would be in the car park for the hub, I find it, you know, the hub is a community-based situated place. A lot of people go. It supports a lot of local people. The car boot sale is supported by a lot of local people who, as I say, have signed a petition stating that they're all for it. It helps mental health and it also supports recycling, saving a lot going to landfill. The hub benefits as well from when we do the craft fairs inside. The hub sells their own food, tea, coffee, whatever, and they generate income to keep the hub going because they do struggle at times.
Okay, thank you very much. Do members wish to adjourn for further discussion? No. You wish to adjourn for further discussion? No. There doesn't seem to be a consensus. No. So, okay. So therefore, my motion is to grant the license. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
Are there any amendments? Councillor Anderson?
How small the car park is, and if there's not going to be a firm maximum number of cars opening their boots for sales, I would object to the maximum. You're saying 12 you have now. Have that fixed number. No more, no less, but it is a very small car park. Cooper Angus is jam-packed for parking, especially when the factory's open. The main streets are all chock-a-block. There isn't much parking around the area at all. So I'd be very strict on the numbers. That's an amendment to restrict the numbers if we're not going to discuss it outside here.
I'll now hand over to the clerk to carry a roll call vote. Just hang on before we go. Sorry, we'll grant your license with a maximum of 12 cars. Maximum of 12, okay.
does this include do I get the license for inside the hub as well as the car boots?
Yes.
Therefore, your license has been granted subject to the conditions. And what I'll do is I'll delegate the authority to the strategic lead and legal governance service to formulate and draft the necessary wording to give the effect to the conditions. Okay. Okay, thank you. Could I please advise all those present online that we have come to an end to the public session of this meeting of the committee, and we'll now be moving to a private session. But before we do, would we like to have a quick comfort break for 5 minutes or so?
Yes, please.